Hey folks, Landstryder here, and welcome to episode 20 in my Utopia Resurrection series on the Feed the Beast launcher. We're still in 1.0.1, but I'm in my radioactive protective suit today because I'm going to be working on automating the nuclear reactor so that it runs all the time and it's able to craft the rods or the MOX cells that it requires to operate. I'm going to automate as much of the process as I think that I can. It's not going to be 100% automated, but it should be considerably more automated by the time we're done today. So we can see the reactor's running. I'm draining some power because I have been processing materials. Been making more uranium dust using the chemical reactor. Oh my gosh, that is loud. So let's take care of that before we go any further. So I should have some mufflers left in here. Yeah, a bunch of muffler upgrades. These things are great. I think I showed these once before. You just right-click it, and it should be silent here in a little bit. Sometimes I think it might have to actually stop processing for a moment and then start again before it operates again. And down here, oh my gosh, these guys are loud too. So let's just silence all these guys. Hopefully they'll, maybe they'll be quiet here in a little bit. Might take a moment. We come back up here. Did this one? I think this one registered that is now supposed to be silent. Yes, silent operation mode. Much better. The ones down there should quiet up here in a moment, and we can continue our automation in peace. So one of the things I did to help get ready for this automation is I set up the automated processing to go ahead and process any uranium, magnesite, and uranite that we end up having in the system. So that's going to help get the fuel ready to go, because we're going to get magnesium, which we need to turn the uranite into we get more fuel out of it that way. Remember, we talked about this being going into the chemical reactor. I don't know if I'm going to be able to automate this or not, but I'm going to try to automate it with a interface directly below it, and we'll see how that works out. Hopefully it can eject back into the interface without having to do too much. We'll see. We're going to see how that goes. I might try to just go ahead and automate this bending machine, because we're going to need plates to make our uranium or our MOX fuel rods. Remember that we are using the 4X quad rods. I also need to set up the system down there to go ahead and eject the depleted MOX rods directly into the thermal centrifuge down below. So let's see if I have a export bus. I do not have an export bus ready to go. Let's see. Should I teach the system how to make those? Maybe. Let's see if I have the stuff to make one. I do. I'm also going to need one for the to attach to the reactor, and I'm going to need an import bus. So maybe I should go ahead and have it craft up another formation core. Yeah, the recipe makes 2, so I'm going to end up with 2 regardless. And I believe the annihilation core, I think I need a sticky piston. Craft one of those. Go. That shouldn't take long. There we go. Right. That was quick. Oh, not quite right. So let's see what the recipe for the import. If I can type, I can never type. I'm typing around my microphone, which is why I end up hitting the wrong keys so many times, because I can't see my keyboard at all. And let's see, import bus. There it is. Oh, it's close. It was just the iron ingots are in a different position. There we go. So I got the import, export. I'm going to go ahead and make that other export bus. There we go. One for the reactor and one to reprocess our spent depleted MOX rods. That was redundant. Depleted MOX rods. Of course they're spent. they're used up. Okay, so I want my MOX rods, my depleted MOX rods, to go directly into the thermal centrifuge whenever they end up in the system. So whenever I have depleted MOX rods, it's going to go ahead and immediately break them down. It's going to run them through the maciator, which is fine because that's actually going to kind of like normalize them into platinum that I already have a recipe set up to process. So this right here can say only export the depleted MOX rods. That's the only thing I really need to send into there, so I don't need any upgrades on there. I do need some cable, however. There we go. I'm actually going to get this dense cable, and we'll see what we're going to do with that here in a second. And come down here. So I want this to come right over here and attach down to that. There we go. So now whenever there's some depleted MOX, it should get auto-processed back into uranium dust, or plutonium dust, sorry. Plutonium dust. So if we look in there now, well, actually, there's a little bit in there already, but in a second, there should be more. It should automatically process that back into plutonium dust. We also got tiny plutonium. We can just come over here and occasionally recycle that into plutonium dust. So I got 81 in a second, maybe. There it goes. Actually, it's giving me straight plutonium. I was kind of a little surprised to get more dust, though. Okay, we might have to tell it to send those back into the maciator just so we can normalize it into the plutonium dust, because our recipe in here in the furnace requires that it have that red kind of dust, the GregTech style dust. Hopefully, maybe if we're lucky, it'll automatically recognize the other plutonium as part of the potential recipe or the or dictionary item. Sometimes it does, sometimes it doesn't. Just I think it depends on the circumstances. So, will that at least take care of our MOX rods, our depleted MOX rods? Recycle them. And if I need to, I can always set up a maciator recipe to go ahead and maciate that plutonium, if the IC2 style plutonium, or maciator here. I could maciate the IC2 plutonium and get the GregTech plutonium, and then it could send it over to the cookery, just for recipe compatibility purposes. Because when we're trying to automate something, it sometimes is a little bit picky. Now, where am I going to attach my import buses to the nuclear reactor? Well, I was thinking probably one of the best places would be directly underneath. Now, if I and I want to do like I did with the power cables, where I don't have a direct line, where it could potentially, if it did manage to blow up somehow, where it could potentially blow out through the protected walls. So I need to kind of do a little twisty turn thing to whatever cable I put up in there. And I've got a cable right here. So this would probably be a good place. So I could just come straight up here, kind of wrap around this core thing a little bit, and get right into there, where I have access to the underside of the reactor itself, the chambers. What I am going to have to do, though, is and then put another layer of protected blocks down below there. I've already moved this transfer pipe down. I keep getting hit by the heat of the reactor because I'm a little too close to it. Then putting the extra layer might actually keep me from getting hit when I'm around it. So I've already moved this pipe down a level so that I could get that extra protected layer in there. But I do have a little problem here now. Since I added that export bus, if we come over here, we can see that I've used up all the channels in that 8-channel cable going down there. So what I need to do is take this dense cable that I pulled out of the system just for this, and extend this middle line, whoops, down to where it splits about right here. I'm going to go ahead and pull those ones up because remember, I like to use the smart cable wherever I'm connecting, actually. And then I also need to get one more here. There we go. Now dense cable up. And there we go. Now we've got plenty of channels down there to use. So that's going to open up. It opens up 3 channels over that direction, which is more than enough. I only needed 2 to get the reactor online over there. And I think I'm going to need a couple more of the smart cables right here, so that I can keep an eye on the number of channels used up going the other directions. See, I've got the ones that I dyed earlier. I can clean those up with a water bucket, and I'm gonna get 5 of them back. That's more than enough for now. There's also an item that you can use that will allow you to apply the colors to the cables while they're in world, and while they're placed, basically. So those are probably going to have a channel each. I don't know if I ever... Well, this has 2 channels. Oh, yeah, because there's a level emitter. I don't know if I ever explained this little line coming over right here. But basically, if we get too much cobble in the system, basically more than a barrel's worth, which is our barrel up here, right here. If this barrel fills all the way up, it'll start spilling into our drives upstairs. Now, this barrel has priority, so it'll always... put in there first and pull out of there last. So what'll happen is if that barrel fills all the way up and we start getting cobble in any of our drives upstairs, this will turn itself on, activate this export bus, and go ahead and send any extra cobble into our compression line here, where we're compressing cobble down all the time. This was really useful for when I was running the quarry in the Deep Dark, because I was going ahead and collecting all the cobble off of that and compressing it. That's how we ended up getting our bedrockium a little bit sooner than maybe we would have if we just left it run with only the node down there. So okay, next bit of automation. Let's we'll come back to this here in a minute. I need to take care of I need to take care of this bit of automation right up here, which is this fluid canning machine needs to be automated. So that's actually going to be our 3rd channel on here, because that's going to fill up this line right here, because I'm going to use this line and I'm going to go right up that way to attach to that. I think maybe that's the best way to do it. I'm not sure. Yeah, I think that's about the closest where I can connect, because I can just come straight up to here. I'm going to move this a little bit, move that one line that's bringing the liquid down. Let's see here. I need a cover, one that is somewhat appropriate for down there. Sure, why not one of these ones right here, these rusty metal looking ones. Kind of looks like that, but not exactly. I think it's the same as I used. Yeah, it's the same as I used on the gates over there. So I need to remove this and this one. This needs to go right there, because I don't want it to attach to that pipe over there, because that's regular water and this is distilled water. Because I want to keep the distilled water in here for when I need to make a few items, but there's very few items that I need to make. So, I can just switch it back and forth when I need to. Actually, you know what? I think I would rather have that be flush with the surface, or with the, you know what I can do? Whoops. I think I'd rather have my cover be flush with the, so let me pull this piece out for a second. Break that for a moment. Put the cover against this pipe. There we go. Now it's nice and flush. And go ahead and put this pipe back. There we go. So that's sending the regular water up into the distillery. This one brings distilled water back down into our canning machine. The reason I keep the distilled water in here is because occasionally I need to make coolant cells, and if I use distilled water, it uses considerably less lapis dust. It requires lapis dust and an empty cell. So if I put an empty cell, I think it's in the right. Yeah, so it has to be in the fluid enriched mode. And you put empty cells in there and a lapis dust with some distilled water. If you use regular water, I think it takes 10 lapis dust instead of 1. So it's much more lapis efficient if you use the distilled water here. And the reasons I want these coolant cells is because I want to make something that's going to speed this machine up. It's relatively slow at canning stuff. And any time that I want to make this, I can just come down here and switch it over temporarily, make the coolant cells that I need, and go ahead and switch it back into the mode that it'll need to be on for automation later. So let's get the next bit. I'm going to need an interface for that. Now that the system should be able to make. Okay. That might take a moment. It looks like it's got to make a few bits and bobs. So while I'm waiting for that, I can go down and start working on getting into that bottom of that reactor. This is going to be a little difficult because Lord Raccoon was helping me when we were setting up this reactor, and he did the majority of the warding. Now the problem is that he changed his in-game name using the new feature from Mojang, being able to change your in-game name. But now that his name is different, these blocks are no longer, they no longer recognize him as the owner. So we can't do anything with these. The owner is a non-existent person anymore. So the only way I can move these is with using my handy-dandy transposer trick. So let's see if we can't get that going here and get bits and bobs out for that. There we go. I need the transposer and a lever. And I should be able to get things moved around. I really only need to move a couple blocks here. So I'm just actually going to, there we go. I'm going to move them to a place where they can still be used, but they're out of the way for now. So let me get this. This is, I want to bind it to that, and I'm going to keep getting hit here. It's not a big deal. And then bind it to that, and go ahead and move that piece. Okay, but that didn't get me where I needed to go. Okay, so go ahead, break that. And there's another little funny story I can tell you. My drill bout ran out, and so I replaced it with a high voltage drill. This thing is awesome. If you look at it, mining speed 90. Tungsten steel has a ton of durability, so it's going to last me a really long time, and it stores quite a bit more EU, so it's going to also last longer in the field during use. But it's crazy fast at breaking stuff. So I have to be extremely careful. In fact, let's move this out. So we'll put it kind of there. Bind that, and I want to get right up in there, I think. And move that one piece. I think that's going to give me access to two different sides of the reactor core. Yeah, so there we go. I've got straight up there the reactor core and reactor core right there. I'm good. So that's going to give me enough access to put my import and export bus up in there. Alright, so let's get that set up. Now, problem is I stupidly processed all of the spent MOX rods, I think. Didn't I? I might have to turn that off temporarily in order to be able to program this. Oh, good. I still have some depleted MOX rods. Excellent. So I can still program this. And I have some regular quad MOX rods, fresh ones. Perfect. So I can still no problem having this program. I think that is because this has been too fast in order to get those stuck in there, I believe. Plus I disconnected it for a moment, so that might have had something to do with it. How we doing on channels? We're good on channels. Like I said, I think we're going to, by the time we're done with all this stuff over here is going to have that particular line maxed out on channels, but that's okay. Because I have another line over there. If I can bring it, I can bring it down and automate those two things over there. It's probably good a time as any to explain about this. The multi-smelter. If you didn't catch it in the last video, our problem was that the power hatch was not a power hatch. It was a dynamo, and that won't work for this multi-block. So as soon as we switched that out with a proper power hatch, it formed up and we were able to use this. So this is now working. It's kind of cool. You can throw in a whole bunch of different stuff into the input bus, and it'll process a bunch of different things all at the same time. You know, anything that you can smelt in a normal smeltery or normal electric furnace. Pretty cool. So yeah, I'm going to take some hits while I'm working on this. Okay, so the export bus, or this is the import bus. So I wanted to import quad depleted MOX, and that's it. The export bus, I wanted to export quad fuel rods and only quad fuel rods. Now if I didn't put something in this slot before I connected to the ME system, it would just start pulling every component out of the reactor, which would definitely cause it to blow up, because the first thing it would pull out of the reactor would be a fan and a heat exchanger and another fan. So basically it would start clearing this top row, and then that would immediately allow the reactor to go into meltdown, which we really don't want. And the more components it pulls out, the faster it goes into meltdown. It'd be a relatively fast process. So you don't want to connect these up until you have them set with their very specific inputs and outputs. So the export bus exports from the system into the reactor. The import bus pulls things out of whatever you have it attached to and puts them into the system. So there we go. That should be that bit of automation. Now I can connect that up anytime I want now. But let's see, am I ready for that? I don't think so. One of the things I think I want to move this block right here out of the way. So let me do that. No, I don't want it on the bottom. I want to face this direction. Nope. Oh heck, I'll just put it over here. There we go. I want to move that block out of the way because I'm going to run a wire right through that particular block space. And oh yes, I need to automate my solid canning machine up here, my solid fluid canning machine. So that interface should have been crafted a while ago. So let me go grab that. There it is, interface. And let's get that set down right here. And I'm going to run a cable. Gotta get more cable. I'm going to run a cable down to there. Okay, let's come up off of that just because I think that's going to look better. And then we'll zigzag right here. Whoops. Let me get that one out of the way. There we go. Now we're connected up. This doesn't need to connect, so let's see. What can I do with this? No. I need either a wrench or a stick or something that interacts with our extra utility pipe. So crescent hammer will do. I just need to switch this to no connect. There we go. It doesn't actually hurt anything, but I don't like to have it look like it's connected when there's not actually anything that it can, do to send anything in there. So now there's a couple things I need to do to this next. I got these coolant cells that I made in here. I want to speed this machine up, and I also want to set it to automatically eject. Because if it automatically ejects, it'll eject into the ME interface that's connected to it. So let's come upstairs, and first thing I got to do is I got to turn these coolant cells into 10K coolant cells. You just do that with tin. I'm sorry, I think it needs 10 plates. There we go. 10K coolant cells. Now, I had a few of these made up already. These don't stack. I had a few of these coolant cells made up previously in order to make about 12 total 10Ks. Apparently I need more tin plates though, so let me go make a bit of those, and then we can get the 10Ks finished up, and then we're going to make some speed upgrades. Probably should get these radioactive materials out of my inventory before I forget and switch my suit. And I don't know if that's enough or not to finish up. Let's see. How many more do I need to make? Oh, it was only just one more, so I'm good. I have enough tin. I'll go ahead and let that other tin form into plates for now. But now that I have the 10K coolant cells, I can go ahead and make the, what is it, overclockers. There it is, the overclocker. This is an IC2 thing. I think I might need to make some copper cables. Oh, I used up the tin snips. That's okay. Hopefully I have enough to do the overclockers that I wanted to do. There we go. Just make as many of those as I can. Hopefully I have enough basic circuits in there to go ahead and... Oh, this makes 2 apiece. I wasn't figuring on that. That's okay. That gives us some extra ones. You can only stack, because of GregTech, you can only stack these in as many as 4. So I might only put 4 in the machine down here, and that's going to be a considerable increase in speed anyway. So there we go. 4 overclockers in there. That should make it work a lot faster. The next thing is to make the ejector. There's 2 kinds of ejector. There's a regular ejector, which ejects items, and there's a fluid ejector, which would obviously eject fluid into any adjacent inventory or pipe that is valid. So I want just the regular ejector. Hopefully I have everything you need a cable. So I might need to make some snips. Cutters. Yep, I need to make a new pair of cutters. What was I doing? That's a problem with GregTech. I think I've had this discussion before, but by the time you actually get to the thing made that you were trying to make, you forgot what you were making it for. So I should have the stuff. No, I don't want to. You don't want to make the IC2 cutter because that doesn't. Okay. Let's see here. Plate, screw, file, screwdriver, hammer. Okay. First, I need. Oh, I need to get the Damascus plates. Of course, they're still over here. There we go. Rods should be in there already. So, 3 plates. Rods. Damascus rods. The screw. A file. Got a file. Hammer. And a screwdriver. There we go. New wire cutters for the system. Okay. Now that that's all done, what was I trying to make? I was trying to make an ejector, right? Yeah, that's right. I didn't forget after all. So, need some copper wire. Get a bit of that. Give it some insulation. And then now it should be good for the ejector. Ejector is a go. Alright. So now, this should be everything it needs to completely automate this particular stage of crafting the things. The only thing I need to do is make sure that whenever I'm done enriching or making the coolants, that I switch this back over to standard canning. So now it'll take a fuel rod, an empty fuel rod, and a piece of MOX, and it'll give me a MOX rod and should eject it back into the system. So let's get that set up. Now I've already taught the system how to make MOX. So you can already make the MOX. Go ahead and craft one MOX. It makes them, like I said, from the plutonium ingots and the uranium ingots. There's like 4 different recipes for these mocks, and they do not you can't mix and match. The system will not mix and match them. So in fact, if I look at those recipes, you can see they're completely separate recipes. So it's either the industrial craft stuff, or a mix of industrial craft GregTech, or the reverse mix of industrial craft and GregTech, or all GregTech. And I'm working with the all GregTech recipe. So I have to make sure that my material gets turned into that type of material before the system is able to make the mocks out of it. So now, if we take mocks, so what I'm actually going to get, I'm already set up over here for a processing pattern. I'm going to get 1 mocks rod for a mocks and an empty fuel rod. There we go. And I don't even need to go back downstairs to install this. I can just come over to my interface, and somewhere in here, there it is, fluid solid canning machine. Go ahead and put that in there, and it should now make a mocks rod for me. So if I look at the number of mocks rods, if I middle click my mouse, I can go ahead and bring up the go ahead and craft me some stuff interface. It seems to be like it can do it. Let's see if for a second. There it goes, and it was relatively quick because of those speed upgrades. I got mocks rods. Sweet. Now, the next thing I need to do is teach it how to make the quad fuel rods. I haven't done that, I don't think. Let's see here. Mocks, if I click on the quad fuel rod, no, I haven't taught that recipe yet, so I need it to know how to do these recipes right here. So if I go ahead and do that, it's going to pull items that are from the system that it normally would have in stock. So iron plates, copper plates, and the fuel rods. So I'm going to have to, at some point, teach it how to make the iron plates and copper plates in order to be able to make these. It's not going to make a fuel rod. I actually want a standard crafting recipe. There we go. Standard crafting recipe. It's going to give me a quad rod. There we go. Now, all I need to do is install this in one of the assembler machines. And you can see I'm getting a little bit full on stuff. I don't want it to be, see how this has got the mocks here? I don't want it to be in that group of assemblers. So I'm going to come up here to the top and put it up here. There we go. That way, if it happens to be crafting the mocks at the same time, it can still go ahead and craft the rods due to the coprocessor unit, because it uses separate assemblers for those 2 different processes. I think that's how that works. So that is about 90% automated. I think the last thing is to do the plates. Now the problem with that is I've used up all the channels that go over in that general direction on that line. Yeah, on this line right here. And our bending machine is like right up here, and I'm not 100% sure that one I'm going to be able to do the same kind of automation as I did over there with the auto eject. We're going to try it, but I think I'm either going to have to run a new line or run this line over here. It would probably be a little bit better to run this line over there as far as usage of cable. Actually, it's almost about the same because of the angle to come straight down this way with a new line from right here. Gosh, if I do that, I might even take this off of that one down there and switch it over. Maybe that would be the better thing to do. Bring that, yeah, I think that would be the better thing to do. So let me get some cable, and we'll run that real quick. I'll be back in a second after I run these cables. Okay, I've run a new cable, and I'm getting ready to. I switched this over to the new line. That actually frees up a line down here in case I want to add something later. Oh, I haven't never connected the reactor yet either. So, but that will take 2 lines, obviously, when I'm ready. I want to have as much of the rest of the automation in place before I do that. I think the last thing I need to do to connect this machine here, the bending machine, is to place this interface right there, and then teach it how to make plates. Now, I also need to tell this bending machine. My wrench is about broken now too, so more tool remaking here in a minute. I also want to tell this bending machine to eject to the bottom. Hopefully that will work. So if I look in here, copper plates, I should have some copper plates and some some iron plates is what it takes to make those rods, or to make those fuel cells, the quad MOX. These right here. So I need to switch this back over to processing. I want to tell it that to make 1 copper plate, I send 1 copper ingot. And then I also want to do that with the iron. Let's see, to send 1 iron ingot to make 1 iron plate. There we go. And again, I should be able to access it from over here. If I look through here now, I should have a new machine in here somewhere. No? Oh yeah, advanced bending machine right at the top. I guess it's alphabetical, so that's kind of helpful. Alright, now the next thing is to test to see if it... Actually, I want to go over to the other lab for when I test it, because I want to see if it puts things in and then ejects things back out. So it may or may not work. I'm not sure that a GregTech machine can accept things from the same side that it ejects things. Also, I need to set this machine to auto eject, which is this button here. There we go. So let's tell it to make a copper plate. Not a copper. There we go. Make me 1 copper plate. Go. And let's see if it does not put it in there. I was afraid of that. Okay, so there's a workaround for this, which is to... Okay, so if I set that to eject to the top, you can see that it immediately made the copper plate. Great. Now I need to get it back into the ME system. So back to using a node. I was afraid I was going to have to do this, but that's okay. I have space behind there to do this. So back to using an extra utility node and some pipe. And watch how fast this breaks the wall. 1 click, gone. I have to be extremely careful because it'll just break through multiple layers of stuff with 1 click sometimes. It's really, really crazy fast breaking things. So that's going to go there now. And then just a little bit of pipe to wrap around the power cable back into the interface. Not too big of a deal, but it does make things up a little more. Let's see, where can I get? I'm running out of places to get back up into this. I'm going to have to eventually make an access hatch in a hallway or something where I can come up through there, because eventually that's going to be cleared off. We have decided what we're going to do with that 4th lab, but I'm not going to reveal that just yet. So that's going to be a surprise for later. So there we go. And I have to cover this up with a different kind of block, because if I try to make micro blocks out of these particular factory blocks, they turn into those black and purple squared things and don't look right, which is why I have a vent cover on that one. I'll probably just put a vent cover on this one too. Probably look the most appropriate for this room. So there we go. That's what I had to do to automate the plates. I was kind of afraid of that, but that's okay. I kind of semi-expected it too. So I think it's pretty much automated, except for the actual processing of the uranium. We'll have to still do that. It will automatically process regular uranium ore because of the machines down here. The regular uranium ore will just go automatically through there, get processed. In fact, what is it processing right now? Magnesium. So I might have to do another one of those things over here with the chemical reactor. Put another interface below it and a node above it, and I'll have to be careful because I have that water pipe right there too, so I don't want it to connect to that. But you know, put another loop back through and allow it to. And there's a lot of wires in that area, general area too. So how is that going to work out? Let me look at that real quick. Actually, it's possible. I can do it. I had to use some covers and stuff to keep things from connecting. But yeah, I can pull it out, come down around that wire right there, and go back into the interface right there, and put some covers on this pipe to prevent it from connecting. So yeah, I should be able to automate that part of it too. So for the most part, we'll have the uranium automated, at least the uranium ore and uranite ore. There's still one other ore that we can get uranium from, which is called pitch blende, and we have a ton of that. So, you know, if we start running low on uranium before we get the bees set up, and that's where we're headed next. Before we get the bees set up, because if we look here, we can get these radioactive combs, and these will, if we look at the uses of the radioactive combs, they're relatively rare, but they will give us crushed uranium ore. So that'll be great. We can get that. Let's see, it's 50% chance from radioactive, so like there's like only a 1% chance that the radioactive bee will produce that, but we've got 8 bee things in here. We can eventually have them all producing uranium when we're not using them for other things. So yeah, I think that is about as automated as we're going to get this for the time being. I might do a little bit of work. Like I said, I'm going to automate that uranite processor over there, or the chemical reactor, to go ahead and make sure it processes all of our uranite into uranium dust for the maximum result with the magnesium. Or yeah, magnesium. That's what it is. Not manganese, because that's useful for other stuff. But magnesium doesn't have a ton of other uses, so I have no problem using it up, getting us more radioactive fuel. So if we look at how much uranium we got now, 613. And of course, it's going to take 20 for every time. No, wait, 20? Yeah, 20 times 6. So 120 uranium for every cycle of the reactor, and that lasts about almost 3 hours. But you know, if we're using it continuously, process of materials and stuff, you know, the time ticks down. But if we're not doing anything, if we're not running the lab or we're not processing any materials, then you know, it doesn't drain the reactor, so we don't have to worry in those cases. So we shall see. And like I said, we're going to get those bees sorted out here in a minute to start doing some automated, or to start getting us more uranium through the usage of bees. So let me put away some of these tools that I'm not using now, and we'll get into that next. There we go. Okay, so bees. Let me go. I'm done messing with radioactive stuff for the moment. I'm going to put my good suit back on. There we go. Now I look good in black. And yeah, hopefully soon we're gonna do something in order to get to the next tier of armor. The let's see, what's it called? The this stuff right here, quantum suit. But we have to do a lot of mining in the end for that, so we're gonna have to go do something to get some special materials in the end. And that's for another episode. Right now, I want to talk about some bees. This episode is gonna run long because that automation took a little longer than I expected. I got a little sidetracked a few times, but I want to talk about what I've been doing over here in the bee lab, in the genetics lab. This has been running really good. So what I've done is I've created this Apris chest. I've got a couple of filing cabinets. I moved these genetic machines into the wall. I think they look better that way. And all of these things over here. So I've got a centrifuge here just for centrifuging the honeycombs to get the products out of them and stuff, or whatever else I might need to centrifuge. Just a note, you can also use the GregTech centrifuge on your honeycomb and propolis and whatever else you want to centrifuge from forestry. I think it is cheaper on energy, but the thing is we don't, our RF energy doesn't cost us anything. It's free from our 0-point generator down there, and so I just went ahead and used the forestry centrifuge. I think the speed is maybe even a little bit faster on the GregTech if you use one of the higher tier machines as well. So, you know, there is a case for using that, but I went ahead and used that for visual consistency. and the consistency of the lab. This is a forestry lab, so I put forestry machines in here. And these are all running on RF instead of EUs, and I didn't want to run an EU cable over here just for that. So there we go. That's why I'm using this centrifuge. But the GregTech centrifuge will work for this process as well. So this centrifuge gets material. It doesn't go anywhere. It just puts it in there, and then I take it out manual. That's a manual machine. All of the honeycomb that gets produced is supposed to come to this filing cabinet, but it's full. So it's not emptying any of the other honeycomb out right now. Because it's way full. If I take a stack or two out of this, you would see that there's just tons more in there, and it would immediately try to put honeycomb in from down there somewhere. This squeezer I use to squeeze the honey drops that I get out of the centrifuge, honey drops, and get some liquid honey. You can also occasionally get propolis as a byproduct. By the way, propolis, when you centrifuge it, gives you sticky resin. So there's another source of rubber. So we will never run out of rubber around here. We've got propolis. We've got a ton of backlogged rubber drops downstairs. So we should never run out of rubber. This one feeds its liquid honey over into this carpenter, because some carpenter recipes require honey. So there's a carpenter with honey ready to go for any recipe that we need it for. This carpenter, it has water in it, because some carpenter recipes require water. So there's our water carpenter. This carpenter has seed oil in it, and we see over here there's another squeezer. This one is for squeezing seeds to get seed oil for this carpenter. And I wanted to show you how this is set up in the back, because it's really cool use of the extra utilities pipes. Throughout our entire base, we have these extra utilities pipes running around, and sometimes we are using the transfer pipes so we can transfer items and fluid, and sometimes we're using the energy pipes, but they're all connected to the same network. So the energy pipes prevent the item and liquid nodes from looking down those directions. So this goes up to the harvesters up there and brings the sludge down from them down to the sludge boiler way down there. It does a few other things too. It also delivers the energy down there to the AE system and stuff. But this also, okay, so down over here, like I said, all these pipes are somehow interconnected to transfer energy. But see right here where I have an energy pipe coming up to here, and then I've switched to a transfer node and a couple of regular pipes to bring the material over here. So this particular liquid node will only look down this little bit of pipe. It won't go down the energy pipe looking for places, and it won't go around this way looking for places. This pipe right here, this transfer pipe, goes down and over to our water tank to deliver water to here, but it doesn't look, the water node will not look down this direction or that direction, etc. And then right over here we have the carpenter and the seed oil carpenter to bring the seed oil over here. But thanks to the energy pipe in between, it's still connected to the overall energy network, so that the node downstairs can deliver power to it, but it doesn't cross materials. Like the materials from one to the next won't cross over. And we can kind of see that down here too, where I've got the energy pipe coming over this way. That feeds up to our genetic machines right there. But right here I've switched it over to regular transfer pipe, and the energy can still go through the regular transfer pipe, but these are all connected over here to this retrieval node connected to the filing cabinet upstairs. And then again, I've stopped it from looking down this direction with more energy pipe, which feeds back up that way. There we go. So yeah, this really, the extra utilities pipes are a lot cooler than I ever thought they were. And I just wanted to show you that and share with you how that all works. So everything in the base is connected to the same network, and items can move around through parts of that network, but while still delivering power through everything without having things go in the wrong direction and getting mixed up in the wrong places. So anyway, that's how that works. I also made this Apris chest to store all of our bees, all of our pristine stock, all of our pristine princesses that we have in here. I say that 10 times fast. and one full stack of the drones of each type of bee that we've gotten so far. Now, a couple of these I don't have full stack for yet, but I'm working on it. So over here, I've basically just been running these through. So this one's actually, I'm kind of done with this one because it's got a full stack ready to go, and I could shut this one off. This is what is this, Water Queen, and I have a full stack of water drones. So I'm pretty much done with that. So I'm going to take the automation out of that so it doesn't go past the next cycle. This filing cabinet is for all of our automation, or all of our gendistry upgrades for the different industrial apiaries to get things working. Now, one of the problems we have running this lab inside and in this dimension and all that stuff is a lot of our bees don't tolerate it, so we have to put special upgrades in our apiaries in order to get them to like their environment, like the light upgrade and the open sky upgrade. Now I have a solution for that, and that's going to involve using our genetic imprinter. So far I've got this template right here with fertility 4. I've been using that fertility to basically boost the fertility of each one of these species so that I can get the stack of drones quicker than regular. So whenever I get ready to, or whenever I get a new species, I go ahead and give it fertility 4 to go ahead and make sure that I get the most drones out of it, so that later on when I need a genetic sample of that particular species, I have a whole stack of drones to do that with. You can see I've set up a mushroom down in there. I've got some vines for the different types of flowers, a lily pad now. So basically I've accommodated, I think, just about every kind of different flower that they could possibly want, except for maybe the nether style bees, and the N bees require some different things. But we're going to fix that. We're going to make a genetic template that basically normalizes them to the environment that they're in, so that they can tolerate being inside, out of the light, and we're also going to give them I think it's tolerance to rain, even though it never rains in our dimension. We're going to give them that tolerance, and we're also going to give them a humidity and tolerance to humidity and temperature of both 1. Now these samples that I got in this chest right here, these all come from the Rocky. Here it is, the Rocky Princess that was added in the 1.0.1 update with extra bees and extra trees. So I did go out to a new chunk and managed to find me some Rocky Princesses. So yeah, I've bred them out. I run them through the genetic sampler to get all those different particular gene samples, and I'm going to add them to this template right here. This is basically going to be our normalizing template. Basically, whenever we get a new species, we're gonna run them. We're gonna give them these genetic traits so that they can be sure to be happy in their little environment inside this room. So what I do is I take this genetic template, get all these gene samples out, and just combine these. I think I could do it more than one at a time. Yes, I can do it more than one at a time. And then this template is going to contain all that genetic information. So now it has 7 out of the 13 chromosomes. So it'll change them around a bit, to basically be tolerant of this environment entirely. It'll also mean that they won't need flowers, or they won't need lily pads, or whatever. They will actually just be okay with being in the room with just the factory blocks that are around here. It'll recognize those as the flowering thing. So yeah, that's basically my stabilizing template. Stabilizes them for the environment in this room. I'm also going to have a couple other templates that I'm going to use. This template right here has the effect none. Basically, this template, I'm going to leave this, just have that one chromosome to remove bad effects. And a good example of that is the tropical bee. The tropical bee would normally produce like a field of poison. So if you got near them, they would start stinging you, and you'd get poisoned, and it's all kinds of yucky. But you notice I'm not I've been standing around here. I'm not taking any damage. That is because I used my effect remover. That's basically all that's for. That's an effect remover to remove negative effects from particular bee species. So if they have a bad effect that I don't want to be, take damage or whatever bad effect they might have, I can get rid of it and then go ahead and keep them in this room without having any kind of danger. So there we go. And the tropical queen is important because I need those silky combs. Those are important to get these silky wisps, and I'm going to use those silky wisps in one of these carpenters to upgrade my forestry bags from 15 slots to 45 slots. And we'll get into that later when I actually have the materials to do that. Maybe I'll do that just off camera between episodes. But it is important to have those tropical bees in order to get those silky combs. I think there's other ones that might produce silky combs. Like, in fact, actually, if we look at recipes, yes, there are malicious, infectious, basically all the ones that produce silky combs, virulent, have nasty effects. Sickly, yeah, they're all nasty, caustic, corrosive. So acidic in the tropical one, of course. So exotic, and I bet that one has bad effects too. And the leopardine. Actually, I don't think the leopardine has a bad effect. So that might be one to do. Anyway, moving right along. So you notice that I have this valiant princess in here and some valiant drones that don't stack. That is because I got this valiant princess from a village where it had apparently been crossbred with some other bee before I managed to find it and pick it up. So I brought it back, and I've been trying to breed out whatever the genetic information is from the other bee in order to get a pure valiant princess line. But it's not been working out very well because I have no idea what the actual individual traits of the bees and drones that are coming out. So I need to fix that. I've been just plugging away in the dark, basically throwing species in the mutator and getting the species that I want, and it's been working out pretty well for me. But at this point, in order to stabilize this particular princess, I need to be able to identify all of the genetic markers that it has, all the different chromosomes, and then match it up with the best drone in order to try to get that stabilized into a valiant princess that'll just run and give me nice stacks of drones that'll stack. So what I'm going to do is I need to make something, and I got a mushroom growing out in the middle of the ground. Nice. I need to make something in a carpenter called the Bee-Elizer. Bee-Elizer. There it is. So it's a diamond, some tin, some redstone, and some glass. That's not too bad, and that's going to go in the water carpenter. Cannot type. Diamond. Actually, I'm going to make 2 of these. Some tin. Surely I have... Wow. Okay, there we go. Tin. We'll get that thermal expansion tin. For some reason in 1.0.1, the ore, or the ingots coming out of the induction, or the redstone furnace, are coming out as thermal expansion ingots instead of GregTech ingots. That was not an issue in the previous version, but I imagine it's just a setting thing that's probably going to get fixed in the next version. So, some glass panes, and I think it was a redstone. There we go, redstone. Over here, let's see, it was like that. Tin, I believe, was there. Glass, and redstone's going to give me a Bee-Elizer as soon as it's done. Materials have to go in this inventory down here for it to craft. These are just shadow. This is just a shadow inventory up here. It's not; those aren't real items. They're just kind of representative of the materials that you want to combine. So in a second, I'm going to get a Bee-Elizer. I'm going to leave the other Bee-Elizer in there because eventually Profound's going to log on and want to do stuff, and he might need a Bee-Elizer. I don't know if he already has one or not, but if not, we'll just hang it on the wall in here somewhere, and because we're going to want to have that in here available to anybody working with the bees. So I need to put honey drops in the beealyzer. So if I click it, we can see it has an inventory up here. It's asking for honey drops. So it takes one honey drop to analyze each individual bee, or you can analyze a full stack of drones all at once. I should have plenty of honey in here in the system. Yeah, look at all that honey and honeycombs and stuff in there. I have been thinking, or have been considering, actually making a subnet specifically just for the bee area, and putting another panel right here of a different color, just for, you know, so we'd have a panel that would access the main system, and then a panel for a subnet for all of the bee stuff that would be able I'd be able to tie this Apiarist chest to, possibly have multiple Apiarist chests connected to it, possibly connect to filing cabinets, be able to input all of the honeycomb that are coming out of these industrial apiaries instead of trying to go into a filing cabinet, store them in a separate drive that was just for the bee stuff, and maybe even automate some of the processes a little bit further. Not sure how far I want to go with that until I get a chance to check with Profound on what he thinks of this lab and what he wants to do. I've been storing all of the extra bees, all the extra drones and stuff. I've been storing them over there in Profound's area for him to work with later. So let's look at this Valiant Princess. So there we go. Here we go. First of all, we got some problems right here, right off the bat. We can see that it was apparently at one point crossed with a tropical bee, and that's what's happening here. Is it's getting traits from a tropical bee. It has a long lifespan, as these are the inactive traits. So we need to fix those inactive traits. Now the problem is I can't fix that one with a template. I don't have a template for that. And then it probably has different, yeah, see again, different stuff for the inactive stuff. So what I want to do is I want to match up, if we look here, Valiant, short, slow, slowest, flowering, none, yada, yada, normal, normal, yes, yes, no. So I want to match up a drone that matches the, so you see that one's long. I don't want that one. That one looks like it's pretty close. Normal, normal, yes, yes. Okay, so that one's probably the one I'm going to match up with it. Short, slower, slowest. Is that right? What was this one? Short, slower, slowest, flowering, normal, normal, yes, yes. What was the difference here? Short, slower, slowest. Maybe the secondaries on this one. Secondaries are tropical. What's secondaries on this one? Tropical. What is this one? Also has a secondary tropical, short, slower, slowest. It looks about the same. What's this? Yeah, that nothing. That doesn't tell me anything I need to know. So any of these three would probably be pretty close. Which is both down one? Let's see what's both down one. These seem to be pretty close to the same. Now, unfortunately, if that tropical submissive gene comes forward, that's going to mess things up. And then I'll have to use these mixed Valiant drones in order to try to get it to go back to being Valiant. So right now it's saying sky obstructed. So I need to put a couple of things in there. I need open sky. Probably going to need light. Possibly a planes emulation. Probably don't need the planes emulation. Let's see if that's needs the planes emulation. There we go. I'm gonna let that breed out. Actually, let me bring that down here, because these first two industrial apiaries are set up, or I use these basically just for rapid life cycles. So if I go light, open sky, planes emulation, and 4 life upgrades. Go ahead and do that. That's going to make it go through its life cycle real fast. But so anyway, back to my end goal here real quick with the bees. And I think this is going to be the last time I talk about the bees. I'm just going to go ahead and get to my end goal off camera. But I wanted to show you all this stuff that I've been doing over here, because it is does take quite a bit of time. Even with the Gendustry, it's still a bit of time. If I didn't have Gendustry, it would be like weeks of time trying to get these to breed through, especially for what I'm trying to make. I'm trying to make this radioactive. I'm trying to get these radioactive combs, which require the radioactive queen. So I got to get a glittering drone and a nuclear princess, which requires a corroded princess and imperial drone. Well, I have the imperials, so I've got that. Forest drones, no problem, but I have a resilient princess, so I could probably make this one right now. I have resilient, and I have forest, so I could do that one next. The resilient came from a robust and an imperial. The robust came from a rocky and a tolerant, and the tolerant came from a rocky and a diligent. So I had to get those Rockies before I could do any of this. Now, if we go way back to the nuclear princess, is a whole nother. So I need unstable and a rusty. I'm going to get that rusty probably in the process of getting the glittering one. The aster one, I believe, comes from the desert. So this is the one I don't have yet. I still have to go find a desert somewhere. Back up. I still have to go find a desert somewhere, and then I also have to go to the nether and find some fiendish or sinister bees in the nether. So I have to find nether bees and I have to find desert bees before I can complete this whole process. So yeah, I'm going to probably end up just doing that off camera. So next time, if I get it done, but whenever I get it done, I'll just let you know in whatever episode. But yeah, this probably be the last time I talk about bees in an episode. And it's going to be, like I said, I'm sure this is going to be an extra long episode because the automation of the nuclear reactor plus the bees and all that stuff is gonna run long. I hope you like that because I know you guys like them long. Yeah, but I think that's where I'm gonna wrap this up. So I don't think there's anything else I can tell you about what I've got going on in the bee area. Like I said, I'm probably going to end up building a subnet, and I'll definitely explain that if I build a subnet for the bees, but that's not actually bee related, that's applied energistics related. So, yeah. Yeah, basically Gendustry makes bees pretty easy. We've got a perfect setup in here, and now that I have this genetic template that basically is going to normalize the bee to like this environment, I won't have to use nearly as much power powering up all of these upgrades and using all those, because I will before I run the bee through a bunch of generations, I will go ahead and normalize them to the environment in here using this template right here. And eventually I'll have another template that basically, once I have the bee species exactly the way I want it, I will get rid of the fertility of 4 so that I don't end up with a ton of drones and have to deal with them. And it'll just basically sit there and produce the material that I want without having to ever empty it of drones. So that'll be a whole another template. But I think you kind of get the gist of how that works, I hope. If you have any questions, be sure to leave any comments in below, and I will do my best to explain that. If you want to see more about bees, you can always go back and watch my Agrarian Skies series, where I covered Gendustry pretty well in there too. So okay guys, I think that's it. I hope you enjoyed this video as much as I enjoyed making it. Be sure to leave a like, comment, a thumbs up, and any questions you might have about bees or AE or nuclear reactors in the comments. Till next time, I will catch you later. Okay, I'm back just for a few seconds here. I wanted to demonstrate that, that the automation for the reactor is working. So, my reactor just ran out of fuel, and I've got things drawing power, so it needs fuel again. If we come down here and look in the reactor room, and we should see depleted mocks in there, okay? Now all I should need to do, and I will get all the blocks and ward them up after this, but all I should need to do is go ahead and connect this down to the system, which I want to come over this way and then down. There we go. And it should be active, and the only thing I didn't do is didn't tell it to auto craft the mocks. So it put the ones in there that it had. See, it pulled out the depleted and put in the 2 that it had ready to go in the system. There's one last thing I need to do before I seal that all up, which is to make the crafting card for that export bus. Card. Oh, good. I already have one ready to go. Perfect. I don't have to. That is perfect. So if I put this in here, if I find the export bus, there we go, to make the quad mocks. Now the system will automatically craft the mocks rods and put them in the system and put them into the reactor whenever it runs out. So there we go. You can see that it's already made one, and it's in the process of making the other things, probably sending materials through machines and whatever. And in a second, we will see that the other quad fuel rods show up in here. There's another one. And finally, we wait a few seconds for the last one. And there we go, 100% automated reactor with and perfectly safe. Not only is it safe just to run, it's also cased in warded blocks, so even if something bad does accidentally happen, we're good. But yeah, completely 100% automated, working as intended. And here we go. It's got the last rod in there. You can see it's putting out the full amount of power now. Just double check and look in there, make sure. Yep, there we go. Last rod's in, and we're good. So yeah, just wanted to come back for a moment and show you, because I realized that I never actually showed it 100% hooked up and working, but there it is, 100% hooked up, working. Good to go. Catch you later.